In this video, I take a small speedlight and see if it can shoot location flash portraits just as well as a big monolight. Hello, I'm Gavin Hoey and you're watching Adorama TV, brought to you by Adorama, the camera store that's got everything for us photographers. Now, whenever I do a video in my small home studio using a monolight flash, one of the most commonly asked questions is, can I do exactly the same thing using a speedlight? And the answer is always the same. Yes, you can, absolutely. But what about on location? Well, that's a different story. And in this video, I'm going to take both flashes on location and do 3 very common lighting scenarios. I'm going to use the flashes as fill flash. I'll use them to overpower the ambient light. And finally, we'll do some high-speed sync flash. So to help me out today, I've got the amazing Charlotte. Charlotte's going to be the model for this shoot, and the first look I want to do should be the easiest for both flashes. I want to take the ambient light and add a little bit of fill flash, not too much, something fairly subtle. Now for this to work, the first thing I've got to do is work out what is the ambient light. So without actual flash firing, let's just take a meter reading as such. So I'm going to come back here where I'm going to be shooting. I've got quite a bright sky behind me. I'm not too worried about keeping too much detail in. Charlotte's in the shade, more or less, so actually everywhere is shady today. And at these settings, I'm getting about f3.5, 250th of a second, ISO 200, the native ISO for my camera. So all I need to do now is to get my flash to match those settings. Now, I could do this by trial and error, but if you have a flash meter, this is where it really pays off. So let's just get a flash meter reading from Charlotte's chin, pointing the flash meter back at the light, and I just adjust this until it matches my camera settings. Okay, there we go, we're pretty much there, that's it, perfect. Okay, so I have the light matching. All I need to do now is just take some photos. Look into the light for me, Charlotte. The monolight is right down close to its lowest possible power, and the results are looking great. So I'm going to take the same shot again, but this time I'm going to use the speedlight. So let's get the speedlight set up with the same light modifier. And we'll get it in roughly the same position. Something like that. And we'll take a meter reading. And it's the same technique. All I'm looking for is to make sure that the flash matches my aperture. I'm right the way down at 1/32nd power until I get this right. Let's take this shot. Here we go, Charlotte. The subtle effect I'm going for here means I'm not really stretching the power of this speedlight at all, and the results look excellent. In fact, when I look at the 2 results side by side, I honestly couldn't tell you which was taken with a speedlight and which was taken with a monolight. So for this setup, I want to do something much more dramatic. I want to overpower the ambient. Now to do that, I'm going to run the flash at full power and just see what sort of aperture I can get out of this flash. So we're starting with the monolight, the Explore 600. I'm just going to take a meter reading from Charlotte. And I'm getting f22 at full power. So I could run this at f22, but I don't want to run the flash at full power because it will take longer to recycle, wear the battery down. So if I bring the flash down to half power, I hit f16. So let's take a picture at f16 without flash first of all, just to see how much drama I can get in the sky, which is the whole purpose of doing this. Okay, Charlotte, here we go. At f16, I've got some great clouds. They look excellent, but Charlotte clearly is in deep shadow. Then if I turn the flash on, well, the flash has been metered for f16, so it should work really well, and it does. This is where the monolight should really excel. All that raw power means I get some very dramatic photos. Whether you like this particular style or not, well, that's another matter. So now I've swapped it out to the speedlight. I've got the same modifier. It's roughly the same distance away. I've got it on full power. Let's see exactly how much light I can get out of this. So we were f22 with the other light. At full power, really? Getting f11. That's really good. f11 it is then. So let's take a few pictures and see how this works actually in a real shoot. Okay, here we go, Charlotte. I'm going to move around. You know what, I'm really surprised at what this little Speedlight is doing. Yes, I'm at full power, so the recycle time isn't brilliant, but it is powered by a lithium battery, so it's not too bad either. Side by side, I actually prefer the Speedlight picture, but of course the Monolight gives me more flexibility. I can also match the Speedlight settings, but at a lower flash power, less consumption of battery, faster recycle time, and so on. So for the final setup, we're going to do perhaps the most challenging thing for any flash, and that's high-speed sync flash. Now, you might have thought that the last setup, overpowering the ambient, was for high-speed sync type work, but no, high-speed sync is not for that because of how it works. It strobes the light rapidly, meaning you get less power out of the lights. High-speed sync flash is for a shallow depth of field. So I've switched to my 25mm f1.2, and I want to shoot at f1.2. So I'm going to turn the flash off first of all. I'm going to dial in f1.2. I'm going to go with my flash sync speed of 250th of a second and take a picture of Charlotte and just see what I get at those settings. Charlotte, do you want to turn and face me? Great. Here we go. And at those settings, Charlotte looks really well exposed, but that sky, the background, everything is really blown out. So I want to try and retain the detail in the background. Let's try 4,000th of a second. See how that looks. Here we go. So now I have a nice amount of detail in the background. I have a good sky. It's not blown out, but Charlotte is clearly underexposed, and that's where the flash comes in. Now the downside of high-speed sync is most flash meters won't work, so that's no good for me. I have to do this by trial and error. So let's turn the flash on. I'm going to start at maybe a quarter power and see how this looks. Here we go. Quarter power, way too bright. Let's take it down to 1/16th power. And that looks fantastic. Okay, so let's take a few shots like this. The Monolight makes high-speed sync flash an absolute breeze. It's no different to shooting with normal flash, but with these amazingly shallow depth of field results. So once again, I've switched it out to the Speedlight. I'm going to do exactly the same high-speed sync settings as I did with the Monolight. I don't think this is going to cope, but we'll see. So 4,000th of a second, I'm going to put this to full power. It's got to be full power, I reckon. So let's take a test shot, see what we're getting. Here we go, Charlotte. Wow, I don't, but that is really good. If anything, it's slightly overexposed. That's fantastic. That means I can drop it down to half power. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that looks fine. I think we're okay. I think I can actually do this with a Speedlight. I didn't think that was going to happen. But having said that, that's just a single shot. Let's see if it can keep up with a little group of pictures in fairly quick succession. So Charlotte, are you ready? Okay, here we go. Now, of course, I could easily get my flash power down by getting rid of the softbox, but that would mean much harder light on Charlotte, and that's not really a fair comparison to the Monolight. Okay. Right, we've hit a snag. It's stopped firing, and I think that probably means it's overheating, which isn't that surprising, considering what I'm asking it to do. But if you're not going to push it that hard, that's doing really well. Now I'm back in the studio, I've checked the files, and I've counted a total of 18 flashes before the Speedlight stopped working. But having said that, the little Speedlight didn't just suddenly stop. In fact, what happens is the recycle time becomes much, much longer, to the point where it is pretty much unusable. And as a result, if you've got lots of high-speed sync flash work to do on location, you're better off with a Monolight. All of this, however, is dependent on some variables. How far my flash was from the subject, the amount of ambient light that was there on the day, and of course, my softbox would all affect the results. Saying that, if you've enjoyed this video or you've got any questions, leave me a comment below. Click on the bell icon to get regular notifications of all the brand new videos right here on Adorama TV, and of course, click on that subscribe button. I'm Gavin Hoey. Thanks for watching.